Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Live Strong podcast. I am on my little lonesome today. No, Nathan is here with me, but I think I may have lined up to have him back next week. There was some positive reviews with him on the podcast, so he might be coming back more often, which is great. Great for me because I don't have to talk as much because shit, I rave on, do I not? But if you are brand new here, hi, I'm Olivia. I am the founder and head coach of Live Strong, a group and personal training gym in Bennett's Green, Newcastle, New South Wales. You know, this podcast is all about living your healthiest, best life, but infused a bit of chaos from my own life. And I feel like today's episode is like a bit about me, maybe not so much about health and fitness. As you would have seen from the title of this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 struggles of being a business owner. And it's very specific to me, like running a gym. So definitely not relatable to all businesses, but just from my personal experience. But we always start with my high and my low from the past week. So let's start off with my high, which it's a pretty good one. It was just the long weekend. Had a great long weekend. Hope everyone out there did as well. It's always nice to have a few extra days or a bit of downtime. I did still work Friday, Saturday, and Monday, but not my normal hours, so that was nice. And we just did like some wholesome things. My sister asked me to be her matron of honor. Yes, matron, because I'm married, and I was like, wow, that makes me sound so old. But that was exciting on Saturday. Went and watched the Knights play on Sunday, which was a hell of a game. And then Monday, what did I do on Monday? I worked in the morning and then I think I just chilled out, and then me and Nath went for a run in the Arvo. So it was a pretty just like cruisy weekend, busy but cruisy. So weekend was a big sleigh. But then my low for this week, guys, is so this week right now, as this episode's coming out, I've started week 1 of my 12-week Hyrox plan, and I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but I injured my wrist a few weeks ago. So like I was sort of managing the wrist, and you know, those that know me know that I've had a bit of a back issue for a while now, and you know, I sort of manage it to the best of my ability. But like my back sort of flared up last week, like randomly just doing some warm up back squats, and it wasn't like, oh, I've hurt my back. It was like, oh, I'm feeling a bit tight today. And then that was fine, did the workout, and I sort of just took it a bit easy last week. I had an extra rest day on the weekend. I was like, I start training this week, you know. But then that's fine, did run on Monday. Then yesterday I did my like Hyrox specific session because I'm not going to be able to do it with everyone else on the weekend. And I was like, what the fuck? My back is so sore. And I'm saying so sore as if like I was crippled, but it wasn't like that. But I was like, it doesn't feel normal, and I'm smart enough to know that if things don't feel normal, you don't push the friendship. So I sort of had to change some things in my workout yesterday. But today, so that's my negative. I was like, it's literally day 2 of this 12-week training, and I'm already having to change things. And I was already like cautious of the wrist, but I was like, oh, I'll try to do some burpees today. And they actually didn't feel too bad on the wrist. I've just sort of got to be careful with it. But I couldn't do burpees because my back was sore. Anyway, today I've gone to the chiro and just had a bit of a crack and a pop. I'm not the biggest fan of the chiro in the sense that a lot of people go there to fix their problems. Like I think a lot of people get sold on the chiro because they probably have good relationships with them and they make you feel good in the instant, like right there and then. But really, I don't know anyone really who's been completely cured from seeing a chiro. That is from my personal experience. I think they do give you like short-term relief, but I don't think they give you enough of a treatment plan. And again, that's my own personal opinion. So for me, I use the chiro as rather than going to get a massage, essentially. It's like my little recovery. And I used to be really good at it. I'd go like once a month, just a little recovery session. And usually they do a bit of dry needling. He does like a little bit of massaging on like my areas that get a bit sore. And then he'll give me a little bit of a crack. And it's literally 15 minutes in and out. I'm like a little bit of a touch up. But I haven't gone since before America. So I feel like my body has been just in a bit of a stress state. Anyway, more on my story, guys. I went today, and you know what? I actually feel really good for it. I left and I was like, wow, I actually think I needed that. like when you're just giving your body no love. Like I've been pretty stressed, been lack on sleep, and then I've been training and, obviously I'd done all that running and hadn't really probably done enough recovery work, to be frank. So it was really nice, a little cracky poodle. I was like, slay queen. And so that's a negative, but it's turned into a positive, which honestly, why wouldn't we want that? Now, that's enough about my week, and we're going to literally get straight into today's episode. I feel like it's going to be a very short and sharp one today, but sometimes that's good, just a quick little listen. And like I said, we're going to be talking about 5 struggles of being a business owner, and I've technically owned my own business since the end of 2017, right at the beginning of 2018 was officially when I started trading, I guess. But for a little while now, what's that, 8 years plus? And I started as a sole trader, like coincidentally. Started to become a personal trainer, and just where I got the job, essentially, they were like, you need to be a sole trader to work here. So that's what I did. And I sort of fell into being a business owner without really any intention, I guess. Even when I did my PT course, I never thought about being a PT business owner. I actually sort of thought that maybe I was going to work in like an F45 or something so random. Like, I think that's what I sort of, when I first started my course, I sort of envisioned myself as, because F45 was really popping off back then. That was like when it was all the rage. To be honest, I've actually never trained at F45 in my life, so I don't know why I ever thought that was what I was going to do. But like, again, I was only a little baby 18-year-old, and I didn't think about that. So I sort of fell into it, and then, here I am, I guess, all these years later. So my first struggle that I wanted to bring up is that I literally know nothing about running a business, like at all, especially when I started. You'd hope that like nearly 9 years on, I've learned something. And yes, of course, I've learned lots and lots and lots. Lots of trial and error, a lot of mistakes, a lot of asking people for help. But I literally knew nothing about it. Like, I had no idea about what I had to do with the ATO, how to pay super. Then obviously when I got staff, I was like, how do you sign someone on to be a staff member, and what does that mean? Like, this is so stupid, but here we are letting out all of the facts. When I first had my first employee, who luckily was like a previous client, and she understood, she was my first employee ever, like it was a big deal, blah, 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 and we have a great relationship and still have a great relationship. When I paid her, like on our accounting system, like the accounting system I use, I just thought that paid her. And then a week later, or like so many days later, she was like, I never actually got that money, Liv, like that you'll, like the pay, but like I got the pay slip and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Let me check with my accountant, make sure I've done it right. And they were like, did you actually send the money? Like, did you pay them? Like, or did you just press okay on the computer, I was like, oh, I've got to actually send the money. Fuck, I'm an idiot. So I've literally learned everything. And still to this day, I'll be like, I have no idea what this means, or, how to do this thing. And that's even just like back end systems. I actually had a business coach for maybe 2 years, probably like 2 years ago. So maybe like halfway through my PT career of now. And she taught me so many things. She was like, so how do you track this? And what's your system for doing this? And I was like, oh, I just do, like, make it up as I go, essentially. Like there's never been, a procedure or a protocol or anything like that. I've literally just, if there's an issue, I solve it. If there's something I want to do, I figure out how to do it. And that's how I've done it forever. And I am getting a lot better at that, and a lot has changed, obviously, and we definitely run a bit of a bigger show these days. And I am now a company. I have 4 employees, a full-time employee. So like things are very different to when it was just me doing it. Don't get me wrong. I definitely would say I know what I'm doing now, or you'd want to hope so. But yeah, I had just no idea about running a business, and it still is a challenge. And even the concept of being a business person can be challenging for me, because in the end I really do love what I do, and I really love helping my clients, and a lot of the time, well, like that is my main focus, and I forget that I've got to do things that benefit the business. And a lot of the time like my accountant will be like, was that really a smart business move? And I was like, no, but it made my clients happy. And they're like, yeah, that's good, but we can't do that all the time. Like things like that. I think a lot like a coach, which I should, and I don't think that should change, but sometimes I find it hard to wear like that, but thinking like a business person approach, if that makes sense. So I guess that first point is really just like I had no idea how to do anything, and I've learned as I've gone, and that is a continuous struggle, right? And I think obviously probably a lot of people learn like that. They'd have to. Everyone has to learn somewhere, but maybe people have like, I started when I was 18, so I'd only worked in hospitality and retail prior to that, so I hadn't had any sort of workings in any sort of back end of running a business at all. Like the most I did was counting the till at the end of the day, which had nothing to do with anything in the business. Anyway, that's my first point. My second point that's always a bit of a struggle with running a business is always needing to evolve. And this is probably specific in being a gym owner because it's such a fast paced, competitive business to be in. There's obviously so many gyms, so many PTs, so many options out there. And it's always evolving and it's always getting busier and people are always doing more and there's different ways to do things. So a lot of my job, like I have things that need to be done for the business to run. And also obviously I still work on the floor as well. But then my main job really is evolving the business. Like always trying to level up, think of the next thing, plan the next thing, action the next thing. And I guess make sure you're not falling behind. And that like a lot of that now has to do with social media and marketing, but also, programming and exercise equipment and, the way we brand ourselves and anywhere, evolving in any way, shape or form is a big part of my job. And it can be quite hard. Again, like I'm always learning as I'm going. So even, making things better and making them more professional and making them easier for clients or whatever the thing is I'm trying to improve, I've got to learn how to do that and I guess figure out what that next step is. So that's always a struggle. But I sort of like that struggle. I really like being creative. And I think that's the reason that I sort of excel or our gym excels is because I always, I find it really exciting to do new things and offer new things and take some risks and give my clients ability to try different things and stuff like that. I really enjoy that. I would hate having to stay in a bubble sort of thing or not being able to evolve. Now, number 3, which honestly is such a struggle, and it's enforcing rules and policies as a business owner. Again, it probably goes back to the idea about wearing like that business owner hat rather than like just a coach or, a mentor hat. And I struggle with this all the time, like day to day, when people will be like, oh, can I stop my membership or can I cancel? Can I pause? Can I, fix up my payments in 2 weeks' time or whatever? Yeah, friend Olivia wants to be like, yeah, that's so fine, blah, 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 blah. But I've got to remember again that I'm running a business and, my business doesn't just rely on me. Like I said, I've got 4 staff. The business running relies on them as well. I need to make the business run well so it can run well for my clients. Like it's all an evolving circle. Plus, people also take advantage of you, and I've learned that the hard way. And even people who you have really great relationships with, and maybe you've been clients for a long time, for a lot of people, the gym is still just a service to them. And even though to me, they all mean a lot to me because I'm super invested in their life, and I'm super invested in their progress and their results. But, they're not super invested in me, essentially. They want me to give them the service. So even if I feel like, oh, it's fine, it's Billy Bob and, Billy Bob's great, I'll let them pause this week. But the next minute they've paused for 3 months and then they've left the gym and, it could have been a PT time slot or something that I could have filled, or, in the end, I probably end up doing myself dirty. So I do find it really hard to enforce these things. And I think some people aren't always super understanding when you're needing to be like, no, that's just like not how it works. You signed a waiver and this is how it works. Maybe they expect you to be generous to them when it's like, I can't be generous to everyone because then I'm doing myself dirty, So I struggle with that all the time. And maybe sometimes I'm lenient and that makes me learn again, and sometimes I've got to put my foot down. So yeah, and I hate that as well. And like I said, rules, even just simple things about people booking in and having cancellation fees and stuff like that, where I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be charging people cancellation fees, but yeah, we do run a business. Again, like I keep saying, but we need to have those spots free in those sessions, and we need to have our staff organized. And when it's just me, yeah, I can manage everyone and I know who's coming in, but I don't think people understand behind the scenes everything that goes into organizing staff, running classes. And yeah, we talk about who's coming to what class and maybe if they need swaps and organizing things and blah, 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 blah. So moral of the story is I don't like enforcing things, but I know I've got to enforce them to be a good business owner in the end. Okay, I'm raving on. I actually like talking about this topic, isn't it? Isn't this fun? Number 4, which is sort of a struggle. This is like a depressing one. No, depressing's not the right word, Olivia. It's like, I guess a hard one because it affects me a lot, and it's imposter syndrome. Now, if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, look, I don't really know what the exact definition is, so you can look it up yourself. But essentially, it's like always trying to like be someone else or do better or feel like you're not doing enough, or seeing other people being successful and being like, well, I'm doing shit because I'm not doing what they're doing. That sort of feeling. And honestly, I go through highs and lows of this, but like always lows, in the sense that, yeah, you do see other people thriving and, you maybe see social media or you see gyms excelling or they're doing things or whatnot, and you're like, oh, I should be doing that, or, I've been doing this for 9 years, why am I not doing that, or I could be doing more, or like I'll have like a Monday Arvo not coaching and I'm like, oh, you're so lazy, why are you not coaching on a Monday Arvo, blah, blah, blah. And that's all, my head's like that every single day. And it can get a lot. The head noise can get a lot. But I think it's sort of like in the last point when I'm going to talk about not switching off, but I think you control your own time, so you feel like that you could be doing more with your time because there's no regulation to your time, essentially. But yeah, like always just feel like you're not doing enough to be successful enough, and if you're not doing the right things, or you're not doing X, Y, and Z, or you're not doing what that person's doing, or you're not as successful as that person, you're literally like one step away from failure and like closing the doors on the business. Like, no joke, we'll have like one person leave the gym and I'll be like, well, this is our downfall. Here it comes, or, maybe we've had a bad month or whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, well, it's probably going to be all over now, guys. Like, I'm obviously not that dramatic, and I'm super proactive in making change and recognizing trends now and stuff. But that's the initial thought that goes through your head. It's like, obviously people leave the gym, and I've had, really long-term clients who have left the gym. They've moved on. I've had friends who have moved on, and that's okay. You can't train at the same gym forever. Like, I 120% million chance. I understand that. But in my head initially, I'm like, well, obviously I'm failing because this person doesn't want to stay. Or, yeah, like I said, maybe, you see other gyms like, oh, well, they've just, moved space and they've got bigger and stuff, whatnot. They must be doing so well. And look at me, I'm not doing as well. And my head's like, and it's not like, oh, I feel bad for me, but it's something that I struggle with a lot. And Honestly, probably should go to talk to someone about, because probably should get that off my chest a bit more. But I think it's a thing a lot of people go through, and even, maybe not even running a business, even just in your own career path, or people as mums, you see other mums doing things, you're like, oh, well, I'm a terrible mum because I'm not doing that, or, I'm not getting that promotion because I'm shit at my job, and, she'll get it because she's better, and, everyone's always that self-talk in their head. So yeah, imposter syndrome is very, very hard, um, all the time. And then my fifth point, guys, is like there's no switching off hours. Running your own business is a 24/7, like 365 days forever job. No matter how glamorous it might look sometimes, it's not. And I think a lot of people I work, split shift. Like today I worked 5 till 10:30, and then I've actually got a pretty good day. I'm only working 4:30 to 7:30 this arvo. So I do have that 6 hours in the middle of the day, but people are like, "Oh, that must be so good. Like you go to the beach, you can read a book." I'm like, "No. I've literally go home, I sit at my desk and do running the business like the rest of the day, and maybe I could potentially be better at time management, but again, it's probably my imposter syndrome where I'm like, I can't have an hour off because someone's going to do more than me and going to do better than me, and then the business is going to go down the drain. So I really struggle with that. Is the switching off phase, and I go through phases of being good and bad. I really struggle during challenge times to switch off, and nothing against, like, that's not a bad thing, and it's not, I don't not like doing the challenges because of it, but I'll literally get home at 7:38 and I will reply to messages till like 9:30 p.m. and have to be up at 4 a.m. the next day, and yeah, there's just like no off time from work. It's like my eyes open, I go to work, and I don't switch off until my eyes close from work, from the work brain. Um, Again, something I need to get better at, and I have got better at it. I used to be really bad at it, and then Nathan sort of literally had a word to me. He was like, "Look, you literally just do work all the time, and we do nothing together." He's like, "You sit on the lounge and you're with your laptop," and I was like, "Yeah." It's probably not good, is it? So that was like a good few years ago now. And I've got better. But like I said, highs and lows of that can be a bit tricky. But again, my roster has been something that I've tried to change, and having not working every morning in Arvo in the gym, because again, I do wear a lot of other hats than just face-to-face coaching. So if I'm coaching, 7 hours a day, which is most days I coach at least 7 hours a day. For a lot of people, that's like almost their normal shift. Well, for me, that's sort of the easy part. That's almost like when I feel like I'm not working, because that's when I feel like I can just, like, I really enjoy that part, I'm trying to say. So it's like, that's not really like as much work as when I'm home. I'm like, okay, I've got to be dialed in. I've got to do X, Y, and Z, and whatnot. So yeah, never switching off. Weekends don't stop. Again, I've got a bit better. I work on checklists. So I used to have checklists that had to be done Saturday, Sunday. Now I've just reduced it just to Sunday. So Saturday I don't have to do much unless I have overflow from the week. And yeah, I've tried to get better. But again, it doesn't switch off. And I think that's not something that will ever change. And all of these things aren't like, oh, poor me, because I have to do these things. It's like, no, they're just things that it's realistic with running a business. But could I potentially manage things better? I could probably manage all these things better. Like, quick management plan. Like, the first one about like knowing nothing about running a business, I've got better at that over time. And I think that's, you're always going to learn more, but I think that's sort of like pretty dialed in to some extent now. Number 2, about always needing to evolve. Again, that's probably, both of those are probably don't need treatment plans right now. They're probably pretty good, but always getting better at them. But yeah, I could probably definitely improve on enforcing the rules, but will that change? Like, no, I'm still going to have to continue to enforce the rules and make hard decisions. That's okay. And then my imposter syndrome, yeah, well, that probably I think that's something that everyone suffers with though, but I just probably need to get a bit better at it and be a bit kinder to myself. What I do on that, I unfollow people or mute them on Instagram. So even like, other gyms and gym owners and stuff like that. And it's not because I don't want to see their content or I don't want to see what they're doing. Um, for a sense of like, oh, they're another gym, yuck. No, it's more for my own mental health. If I'm like always seeing them doing great things, and not that I don't want to be supportive, I don't want to come across like that. It's more that sometimes you got to protect like your own mind, and it's more me having that comparison and being negative on myself rather than being negative to them. I'm like, they're doing so good, that's great, but sometimes that might affect how I feel about myself, where it shouldn't, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So that's what I do to sort of help that. And like I said, look, probably need a bit of help on that situation there. And then the no switching off, like I said, I've got better with my rostering. My to-do list has got a bit less on the weekends. So that's getting better. But it's not all what it ends up, like what you think it is, guys. Trust me. People are like, yeah, that's so good. You have your own business. Yeah, it is. But like, I'll probably have a heart attack by the age of 40. Nah, just touch wood. Oh my God, I hope I do not. But I probably need to reduce my stress levels. That's fine. Anyway, I feel like I'm whinging now to you. So let's end it there before I rave on Avon too much. And look, I probably got to get back to doing some work, don't I? Don't I, darling? But Nate's going to be back next week and he's going to probably lift the spirits because today I've been a bit negative Nelly. But hopefully this maybe just, I don't know, hopefully maybe not convince you to have your own business. But I do love running a business. I never want it to change. I want to run a business for the rest of my life. That is my goal. And yeah, I actually love being a business owner. I love doing the back end stuff of working. And like I said, evolving, creating, bettering the gym, thinking about what's next. I love all that side of things. But it's not easy. But like life's not meant to be easy. I don't think anyone's job's easy. Everyone's job is a struggle in some way, shape, or form. Everyone goes through highs and lows. But it is interesting being your own boss. Tell you that much. Anyway, I've been raving. Bye, team. Have a great week, and I'll see you all next week. Mwah, mwah, mwah.